Hello lovely people, and welcome to my kitchen laboratory. Today we're finally going to be testing these bad boys, and we're going to start with the Alpine PXE-0850x. So if you watched any of my previous videos, I was testing some cheap Chinese DSPs, and finally we got to I didn't want to postpone anymore and just jump into it and test these bad boys. So I have the Alpine and I have the Helix. Now on this video I'm gonna test the Alpine, and the next one is gonna be the Helix. So I don't know if you watched any of my previous videos, but let's run very quickly through the old equipment that I have. So I have a lithium battery. I got a new BMS that I can actually monitor stuff and do everything via Bluetooth. So this was sent to me by Frank from King. Again, thank you very much. So all the connections, I have power, clean power going into the DSP. Then the signal is generated by topping D10S that was kindly lent to me by Adam. So from laptop into the topping into the DSP, very clean signal, and then RCA out is going into this Cosmos AD converter, which converts the analog to digital only. And I'm capturing everything with REW. So in my previous post, on previous video, where I introduced these two things, I said that I cannot sort out everything through ASIO and I have to run through Java. And some people suggested to use some different ASIO drivers. I did try, and the main thing is I can set up everything, I can measure everything, but there's literally no difference between Java and ASIO. The only difference is the speed at which it measures, but the THD is it's the gear. It's not the REW. So the only thing that I did, I'm gonna run everything through Java because it's just simple setup, much easier. I don't have to play with any of the drivers. The only thing that I did, I upped some of the parameters. So FFT I increased to 5.6. I did more averages, and I'm doing less overlap. So basically the floor noise of all the measurements are going down. And I'm gonna show you, because I did measure with these settings the actual interface and the topping, and then we're going to compare everything to this, because when you're measuring these kind of DSPs like Helix or like this Alpine, you know that they're going to measure good. Now how good, we will see from the actual measurements. At the moment I'm running a THD versus level on the RCAs. Now with this topping DAC, I have the option to run optical and coax. And this is what I'm going to do. So we'll be testing analog, optical, coax, and Bluetooth. And then there's going to be the RCA out on all of this. And then I will try to measure the inbuilt amplifier, because this one has 8 channels of inbuilt amplification. So the chip is exactly the same as in the R500 that I tested before, and that measured very, very good, the amplification section. So I expect similar or better performance out of this. Now the only problem is that this has 8 channels. However, on my built-in rig with the load resistors, I have only 4 channels available. So I will be loading only 4 channels out of all 8. However, it's good because there's 2 chips, and one chip is 4 and the second chip is another 4. So I will be loading one chip fully, and assuming that the power supply can support both of those chips, we should get very similar performance if loaded all 8 channels. So we'll be testing this. So in this video, it's all about Alpine. I'm going to do all the measurements. So like one sweep that with these increased parameters is taking, so halfway, it's like 15 minutes for one sweep. So another 2 sweeps, so 45 minutes plus all of 3. So I guess it's going to be the whole day for me testing only one DSP amplifier. And maybe next week or next day, we're going to be testing the Helix, and we will be comparing, because this is like the main thing for me, which performs better, the Alpine or the Helix. Now, everybody's going to say Helix, and this is my assumption as well. I think Helix is going to perform better, but by how much, this is going to show. So, few hours of measuring, and I will come back with all the measurements. Glad to say that I'm finally done. It took me almost a full day to do this, especially with the little one running around. I had a lot of trouble again with measuring the built-in amplifier. And not because I couldn't measure, but because I was getting results that I was not expecting, and that was weird. So the thing is, like, I tried everything, and this is the result that I get. So this is like minus 40 dB, which in percentage is close to 1% THD. So on an amplifier, it's quite a lot. So first of all, power-wise, I loaded, as I mentioned, 4 channels. It gives like 13 watts of clean power. Clean, relatively, because, as I mentioned, like 0.8%. And it's so weird because this one is the R500, the smaller one, the 6 channel with 4 channel built in. And this has a much better amplifier. This amplifier is very good. It's like minus 69 dB compared to this. If I will go back to dBs, dBr, that one is minus 69. This one is minus 40 only. And I was like, why? How? Because the thing is, it's exactly the same chip. 2 of those chips in this 0850X. It's, I don't know. So I tried different inputs. I tried on analog input. I tried on coax input. I tried to reset it. I tried to like turn it off, turn it on, and different channels and everything. And I have exactly the same. So this was on one of the channels, on channel 1. And this one was on channel 5, which was the other, the other chip. And you can see identical performance. So the main thing is this second harmonic, which like rises and goes all the way to town. If you remove the second harmonic, the third one is much lower, like minus 55. But like, I don't know. So like this, because I was expecting this amp to perform very similarly to the R500, and as you can see, R500 performs very good. The inbuilt amplifier, it has less output, maybe like 10 watts. Well, you can say up to 11, but much cleaner. However, this one is really bad. If you, I don't know, whoever is watching, if you have any ideas why I got these results, please comment below. Because look, if I have noise is similar to this, similar to amp, actually the noise is lower compared to the R500. The floor noise is all the way down, so it's not a problem. But the main problem with this is this harmonic, second and third harmonic. And it's like, I don't know. Anyway, so this was the amplifier. So basically it's kind of pointless to show anything else. It's I don't know, pretty bad amplifier. Same with the THD versus frequency, minus 40 dB and all the frequencies. So it's pretty bad amplifier inbuilt. And when you consider that you have 8 channels, yeah, no, don't use it. Now to the good things. Let's go to the RCAs. So before I actually measured the RCAs, I measured my gear. So topping plus Cosmos AD converter, and I have something like this. So this is on the interface. As you can see, the interface, the best, it goes down to minus 111 dB. Now on analog, the Alpine does very good. It does minus 86 dB. If we compare it to the R500 RCAs, because my thinking is the R500 and the
0850X is kind of similar. It's just it's like two of these R500s, because it has 12 channels and 8 channels amplified, and it has the same amplification chip. The main differences is like amplification channels, the RCA channels, and digital inputs on the 0850X. But performance is very, very similar. We have 85, close to 85 dB on the R500, and a bit better, 86 dB on the 0850X. Now, through RCAs, we are getting about 2.7 volts of clean signal. So very, very similar like on the R500. That one did, oh, it's not in this volts. Yeah, 2.7 something. Yeah, something very, very similar. So 2.5, so a bit more. 2.7 volts, and up to 1% is going to be, where's the percent? But we're not going to go up there. 1% is 3 volts. So basically you can say that is a 3 volt DSP. Not 8 like Helix, not 1 like all the Chinese cheap ones, but like 2.5, 3 volts of clean output, and it's very, very good. Now, I did test this, so this is going to be like a comparison between analog, coax, and optical. So let's remember, on analog we have 86 dB, on coax it's better. We go down to 91.5. So that's like another 5 dB better. Output is the same, it's just a bit cleaner. Now, the difference between coax and optical, there's no difference. Tiny, extremely tiny difference, but basically there's no difference. But yeah, coax and optical is better than analog, especially on the lower volume. So on lower volume, on analog, yeah, we have noise. See? So noise is like dominating all of this, the bottom end, and here we have noise as well, but we have much less noise. So basically, if you're listening very, very quiet, like, I don't know how quiet, but much quieter, then coax and optical is much cleaner. If you go on like almost full output of the DSP, there's very little difference. You can see very, very little difference. The biggest difference is like here, like at half a volt or something like that. If my tongue is a bit twisting, it's very late. It's close to midnight. I'm very tired, but I want to do this. So optical, this not big a difference. Now THD versus frequency. So this is my gear, topping plus Cosmos. We have at the lower frequencies like -10, -11, and a bit more on the higher, like 104. Now the Alpine on analog is obviously higher. So the lower frequencies -92 dB, and it rises on the higher frequencies up to -80, but it's still very, very good. If you remember, it was like -66 dB that I decided, not we, I decided that it's like a threshold of audibility, in especially in a car. So it's in a car environment, this DSP is transparent. Coax and optical helps a little bit, but not much. So we are winning here at the higher frequencies, basically nothing. It stays the same, but at the lower frequencies, it goes down to close to 100, -100 dB. So it's like, well, we're winning like 8-9 dB. So this is this, and multitone. There's not a big difference. So analog, coax, and optical. Very little difference between these, so we can say that on music, you barely be able to tell the difference. Probably you won't. I don't know. So these are these, and let's have a look at these measurements. So this is a 1 kilohertz tone on the gear that I'm measuring. So again, Cosmos and the topping, and it gives me a THD of minus 111 dB, close to minus 112. On analog, we have minus 85.7. So this is with playing minus 10 dBFS tone. So sine tone, 1 kilohertz, it was minus 10 dBFS on all of these measurements. And we can see that the Alpine on analog has some noise here around 1.5 kilohertz, and this is in all the measurements. So this is something to do with the analog circuit, because if you go to coax, you see you have lower floor noise, higher dynamic range a bit. However, on coax you have, if you can see the difference like in these peaks of the harmonics. So you can see that on digital the harmonics are higher. So even if analog has a lot of noise here, on digital the harmonics are higher, and that's why you have on analog the THD plus noise 85.7, on digital 82, and 83 on optical respectively. So from this you can kind of say that analog is cleaner than digital, just because of these harmonics. And if we compare coax versus optical, there is literally no difference whatsoever. So if people say that they can hear a difference between coax and optical, I don't know, maybe on different DSPs, but like for this, it would be very surprising if you would be able to hear, because they are measuring exactly the same between optical and coax. So this and Bluetooth. So I did test it through Bluetooth, and Bluetooth is kind of bad. So this is analog and this is Bluetooth. It is really bad. And what I mentioned in my previous video, that like Bluetooth reacts differently when it's like half volume and full volume. So this is Bluetooth on half volume and this is on full volume. You can see the shapes is totally different. You have like not a lot of harmonics, but a lot of floor noise. And it's like, why is it? I have no idea, because I was thinking that it is a digital signal. I will be testing the Helix Bluetooth adapter. That's supposed to be very, very good. So maybe that one is going to perform differently. But this one, the Alpine, performs exactly the same like other cheap ones. So yeah, not ideal. Not bad, to be honest. Still kind of low, but analog is much, much better. And now the multi-tone, let's have a look. Multi-tone on the topping and Cosmos, very, very good. Like minus 120, floor minus 130. Alpine analog, again, as I mentioned, this harmonics or something, or noise around 1.5K for some reason, I don't know. Obviously the floor noise is much higher, a bit more noise on the top end. And now let's have a look at the digital. So coax and optical, again, coax and optical are identical in this case. However, from comparing analog to coax, you can see that digital has less floor noise. However, it has more noise in the higher frequencies for some reason. I don't know. If you have any idea, please comment. But again, the difference is literally like 92 dB and a bit lower, like 95. Literally impossible to hear. But yeah, and Bluetooth, again, Bluetooth is bad. Yeah, we have this on Bluetooth, and on full volume it's even worse because there's much more noise. But it's still, if you compare it, it's still minus 60 dB. On higher frequencies it's like minus 50 dB. But yeah, so this DSP, just to summarize, the DSP itself it's very good. It gives me like 86 dB. If I go to percentage, just to go back again, because why not? It's like 0.005. Yeah, so the RCAs are very good and very clean. The only kind of downside I want to say is that it gives only 2.7, like up to 3 volts for some reason, because the weird thing is all the Alpine amplifiers have gain structure which can take up to 4 volts. So I would imagine the DSP itself would provide those 4 volts. But no, it's less. It's 2.7 up to 3 volts. So that is weird. The only downside to this DSP is the lower output voltage. But the performance itself is very, very good. Now, the main thing is, how is it gonna compare to the Helix? And I'm gonna try to do the Helix whenever I'll have time. But yeah, I'm happy with the DSP. However, the amplifier section is very, very bad. On, like, if you think about the price, it's like what, 800 pounds, so like close to $1,000, and that's 8 amplification channels. No, I wouldn't use them for anything. The R500 amp, I would use it for mids and tweets, easy. Little power, like 10 watts or something, but it's very, very nice. However, this one, the 0850 amplifier, is really bad. So yeah, this DSP is supposed to be used as a DSP and not as an amplifier. So I hope this testing helped maybe some people to decide if you want to get this DSP or you have it and you don't know how it performs. And yeah, I'm gonna be testing more and more stuff. If you want, you can support me on Patreon or directly on PayPal. I'm gonna leave the links under the video. And thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one.